It has been far too long since I've last seen this Terran player compete. It's time for a TVZ, a best of 3 series, where we're starting off on the map Mothership. Now, spawning right over here on the left side, playing in red, we have the most creative Terran player on the planet, and he goes by the name of GuMiho. An absolute fan favorite. Honestly, maybe I'm just a not-so-secret fanboy of him, but I haven't really seen him compete nearly as much as of late. Let's see how he can, well, play against one of the very best Zerg players on the planet right now. One of the best ZVT players on the planet right now. We have none other than Rogue. Of course, a previous world champion of StarCraft 2. Somebody who is not afraid to go and, well, wrestle in the mud. What is this? It's a gas and then a spawning pool first before making an expansion. So right from the get-go, Rogue is going to try and see if he can grab control of the pacing of this particular match. In the meantime, on the other side, we've got ourselves a command center first. So the polar opposite of what Rogue is going for. Now, in case you're not too familiar with the name GuMiho, GuMiho is somebody that was playing Terran MECH long before it was cool. And then after it was no longer cool, he was still playing Terran MECH. And then he went through like this period, I guess, where he never really mixed it up all too much anymore. He was going for wild and wacky strategies for years, and then he decided, no, I'm only going to be playing normal from here on out. I'm not exactly sure what flavor of GuMiho we're going to get today, but I'm excited to find out. I'm secretly hoping that the newest StarCraft 2 patch has indeed brought some of that shenanigans back. I think especially something like, say for example, a speed Banshee build. I feel like that is perfectly up GuMiho's alley. Making something like a Banshee as part of like your core unit composition. I think that would be something that GuMiho would do. Anyways, we'll find out together. For now though, Rogue has got these quick Zerglings out. You will see that there is indeed nothing right over there at the bottom of the map. So I think these links will likely go towards the left side here momentarily. Although he's not entirely convinced. This is GuMiho after all. He's going to see the lack of supply depot right now, though, and that's going to be a very clear indicator that indeed GuMiho has spawned all the way on the left. Double orbital command, all at the same time. Even though there's not going to be any scouting here for GuMiho, even though he's not going to go for a Reaper either, he still will have at least some units available to try and deal with this. It's not really a big commitment, though, from Rogue. Interestingly enough, if Rogue would have made a large amount of Zerglings here, I wouldn't say it's necessarily game over, but it would be extremely hard for GuMiho to do anything against it. Normal timing for the Reaper to spawn is about 2 minutes of in-game, so if you see that your opponent still hasn't sent a Reaper at this point all the way to your side of the map, it probably means that either they scouted the wrong direction, or indeed they did not open up with one. Here we go. Zerglings. Ooh, try to get into the main base. SCV is in a little bit of trouble, though. There is a Hellion just about to pop out. A little messy, but keep in mind, of course, that this is all also because of, well, Rogue delaying his own expansion. 5 SCVs end up going down. Command Center first. Yeah, a delayed hatchery. I think this is fine for Gumi. It feels wrong, obviously, but he's got a super fast 3rd Command Center on the back of this as well. His greed got kind of checked a bit, and I don't think you can really call this a big advantage here for the Zerg just yet, although obviously getting 5 SCVs is kind of nice. Pretty darn good. But it's very easy here, I think, as the Zerg player, to overestimate your advantage. Mules are a very powerful tool. Okay. So, medevac coming up. Overlord Scout is going to reveal exactly what's happening. He wants to see if there's a second factory. Maybe one with a tech lab that has a green light on it. Not the case. It's just a starport hiding a little bit off to the left. Hellion production is going to continue now? Oh, this is a weird build. So he made 3 Hellions here, a bunch of Marines, 1 medevac, and then we did the switcheroo onto the reactor to start pumping out... Wait, are we actually playing MECH? Is that what this is? Yeah, he just added on the gases over here too. This is Terran MECH, I think. A bit of a weird way of getting there, but truthfully, in 2026, it's weird to go MECH in the first place. He's now also going Banshees. Normal timing for the Banshees to be out is already, like they're already supposed to be on the other side of the map. Okay, this is GuMiho at his finest. It's the flexibility of Terran, though, at its finest as well. I don't know if this is really going to achieve anything, though. That's kind of my concern. Medevac ends up going down. Rogue gets the easy surround. We have those 4 Marines here now hiding off to the right side, and they apparently are going to chill. So what is there available now to defend this third base? I mean, there's a few Hellions, sure. It's not really that much of a commitment, but there we go. Extra factories added into the mix. GuMiho is getting away with some of his greed. Oh, perfect surround here again, by the way, with the Lynx. He's getting away with some of the greed, but I don't think I really like the execution on the actual pushes very much. So much damage taken. Now, luckily here for Gumi, the Hellions are good counters, right? 2 Zerglings. If this would have been a quick roach opener from Rogue, I think GuMiho would have been in a world of trouble. I guess the Banshee might still be okay in that regard. He will scout as well with those additional 2 Lings in the main base right now exactly what is going on, and he will know that now it's Terran mech. More SCVs are dying, and while eventually the space construction vehicles themselves will get the job done, all of this is an absolute disaster here for Gumi. Now you can get away. Hey, there's the Speed Banshees. He's going Speed Banshees now with a Raven. Sure. Of course, yeah, no, that makes sense. This, though, as far as, like, early game failing goes, is surprisingly recoverable for Terran, yet again because of mules, right? So if you look at the worker count, we have 50 workers versus 58. Not the end of the world for the Terran player. Still, though, there's more and more Lings ready to go across. It does feel to me, though, that Rogue has got this game in the bag already. Like, he's gonna have full control. I don't think Terran can really move out very much. Cyclones are gonna be kind of powerful, I suppose, but keep in mind that ever since this unit got adjusted in the most recent balance patch in StarCraft 2, it is a little bit weaker. So this is not gonna be as oppressive as it used to be about a half year or so ago when we saw it quite a lot. Mutiling Bane, though, here from Rogue is a curious choice. I feel like Mutiling Bane in general is pretty much always a curious choice, but I think right now he feels like he's got such a good position to make this transition that, yeah, Terran's not going to expect it. Okay. Well, the 4th hatch is done. The creep spread is starting to look pretty nice. Hyperflight Rotors is going to be finished here in just a moment. And, well, I hadn't seen these games, obviously. But it does make sense that GuMiho is the type of Terran player that really enjoys playing Speed Banshees. It's just usually the type of thing that he really likes to go for. We have factory number 4 and 5 added into the mix. The barracks will now be used as a scouting barracks to maybe see the Mutalisks, a little bit ahead of time. Infernal Pre-Igniter coming up. For the most part, though, Rogue is having a good time now. You feel pretty untouchable here as the Zerg, I think. Your creep spread is good enough. Your eco is good enough. Your upgrades are good enough. None of those things are really massively in his favor. But right now, Rogue is going to be able to grab full map control. Especially against Terran mech. Terran mech is just such a slow-moving army. I mean, except for the Banshees here, but it's just such a passive approach. Usually... Oh, no, the mineral line is wide open. There's nothing over here. Wait a second. There's a missile turret over at the 3rd. I saw it. I assumed that that meant we had a missile turret everywhere, but there's nothing protecting the natural. And that means that the Mutas can jump in. And you know what? Cyclones against this many Mutas, they're going to be able to get the job done as well. Zerglings decide to attempt a run by into the 3rd. Looks like they're not nearly as successful as these Mutalisks are, but that is still so much damage dealt already here by the Zerg player. More and more Cyclones are popping out, and I think eventually they will be able to get the job done. But 15 SCVs is hardly something to complain about. 18 actually in total, with some Banelings right now rolling in as well. I don't know if they're going to be able to catch up. Not quite. 4 drones? 5 drones? Yeah. This Banshee is dealing as much damage as it can. I mean, 7 drones killed there by the Banshees is not too bad. But obviously, well, it's not as good as the amount of damage dealt just now by a Rogue. So, because of the Mutalisk problem, Thors are being made. Everybody's favorite unit. It's one of my favorites anyways. They deal splash damage. They're kind of terrible in every other scenario. But against, well, clumped up flying units, they can certainly work out. 87 drones right now for Rogue. who is desperately trying to reduce the opponent's work account. There's a single missile turret guy trying his very best. The Thors are going to be out here in just a moment, but again, so many units get blown to pieces. Yeah, this is an absolute disaster right here from GuMiho. I think strategically, the strategy is sound. The execution, however, not what you're looking for. GG. Game number 2. We find ourselves on Old Republic. This time around, Gumi apparently decides to open up in a much more conventional way. Not actually using an SCV scout here to lead the path of the Reaper. So against the pool first, this can actually still be kind of problematic, but most of the time it's going to be okay. Especially now because Rogue has decided to open up with a hatchery first into, for some reason, a gasless pool. A little bit odd here. So what is the plan here as far as the gas situation goes? Are we just going to go into a very fast third? Rely on slow Zerglings alone? Yeah, I think strategically that previous game was great for Gumi, but the execution was kind of terrible, right? So what do you do at that point? Like I said, I haven't seen GuMiho participate in tournaments as much lately. And sometimes it's because players just don't feel like it. Sometimes it's because players just don't really want to, right? And that's fair. But very frequently I've noticed it's because players aren't playing. And that previous game has me a little bit worried there for Gumi, because that may be an example of somebody who has not been playing all too much. I mean, you're always allowed to have an off game. That happens. But Rogue kind of handed him the perfect setup. Triple CC first against a spawning pool first build. I mean, you basically are handed the stars, and those Hellions getting surrounded kind of messily. The Hellion drop inside of the main base as well that GuMiho went for kind of looked like a mess. The 4 Marines that were left behind. The defense against the Zergling run-bys. The lack of a missile turret in the natural expansion. I mean, listing off all of the mistakes for Terran feels a little bit cruel. You can kind of get away with like 1 or 2 of those. But when it's all happening at the same time, not even a triple command center first is going to save you. So let's see. What are we going to do here? It's a quick Roach Warren, of course, for Rogue. Finally, a gas. We're probably going to get a +1 armor started if I were to make a guess. Or maybe he wants to go for a lair before that point. We'll have to keep an eye out on exactly what the plan here is for Rogue. Hellion production has kicked in though. Triple CC yet again for Gumi. YOLO with the Hellions. Yeah, getting a surprising bit of damage done, to be honest. The main problem here, of course, is that now your follow-up Hellions are not going to be able to do that much. Unless you want to play even more Hellions. Unless you want to play Terran MECH. Is that what we're doing, actually? Oh, he actually does get... Yeah, he gets one of the Hellions out. Not even that big of a deal. It takes 3 Hellions to one-shot a drone. So if you YOLO in the first 2... and you're planning on, say, making like 4, maybe 6, maybe 8... it doesn't really make a ton of sense, but if you keep pumping them out, I guess it's not a big deal. Rogue is gonna pick up on this, though. Yeah, usually what you're looking for is production time in the factory. So in this particular instance, we know that there's going to be 8 Hellions in total out on this game. Well, there was 1 killed, so I guess there's 7 still available. But seeing continuous production past the first 8, so if you see that the factory is still pumping out something at like 4:30 and it's not being used anymore for any sort of like add-on production or to help out with like the transition from here, it could very well be Terran MECH, and considering it's double armory, GuMiho is doing it again. Okay. The roaches are going to be needed over here. Hellions indeed are going to get sniped now, but not without a good bit of damage. More and more of them in the natural expansion too. GuMiho is inviting everybody to the barbecue. Apparently Rogue didn't know of it. 11 drones in total in this game. Okay. Factories. I would have liked to see Rogue actually do a follow-up scout. Yeah, he's going to try and get it now, but it's too late. He kind of sees, though. I think he saw the little dents of the factory right when that OV died, if he was paying attention to it. He may very well know that this is indeed going to be Terran mech because of it. Honestly, judging here by the upgrades, he may have already put one and one together. This is going to be Glass Cannon Zerg. Most of the time, Zerg players in this matchup will focus on armor first, just so they can go ultras in the late game. This is Rogue skipping out on armor and just going straight melee, straight missile. Command Center number 4 added into the mix. Hydra then coming up. Raven about to pop out. We have the Banshees soon going to get their, well, speed upgrade after the cloak. We'll probably have continuous Banshee production for a while longer too. Siege tanks added into the mix, something that was missing in that previous game. Different approach though here from the Zerg. So rather than going into, well, Mutiling Bane, this time around it looks like it's a Roach Hydra type of approach. Are we gonna go Lurkers? Are we gonna go Vipers? Are we gonna go Brute Lords? Can we go Swarm Hosts? There's a lot of decent options available for Zerg, but in a way, because Terran mech is so uncommon, I'm not really sure what, like, the very best approach is. I see all the top-level Zergs deal with it differently. I don't think there really is, like, a go-to established way to deal with Terran mech. Just because Terran mech is considered to be very mediocre. I honestly don't know if it's true, though. Like, that's always something I've wondered about, right? Like, yeah, everybody kind of says that Terran mech is not ideal, and I kind of agree, I guess, if you are Clem. When you have 500 APM available and pretty much perfect micro, and your marine splits are godlike and all the rest of it, but what about if you're not Clem? AKA literally every other human on the planet, right? We saw Maru, for example, have that really successful Terran mech game in the RSL against Shin on Botanical. That was a banger of a game. May actually be my favorite game of 2025. Anyhow, that was a beautiful match, and that was Terran mech. Let's see. Interesting push here from Rogue, honestly. He's kind of tanking those siege tank shells. But he is clearing out a lot of the... yeah, a lot of the bulk of the army. Now he's going to get on top of it. Oh, the corrosive balls don't just kill that siege tank, but also one of the Banshees. Thors are out now. Planetary Fortress done in the middle, though, and this is just going to turn into a bloodbath. It's a trade-out between both of the armies, but I think this benefits the Terran greatly. Terran now has 4 base economy up, which is usually the most difficult part of playing Terran mech. Like, getting up to 4 base eco is really tough. He gets 2-2 done. Hive is coming. 2-2 starts up as well for Rogue. Baneling Nest on the back of this. Okay. There's the additional factories. 6, 7, and 8. Not too shabby. We're going into the good old Blue Flame. And the siege tank production is kicked in. So I think this is the type of unit composition that's amazing when you max out. So maxing out in the sense that you're not just at 200-200, but also preferably at 3-3. It is one of the very best death balls that Terran can make. And it's one of those unit compositions that can kind of bulldoze straight through the middle of the map. And you might just be able to win the game off of one push. So maxing out is going to be of the essence right here of GuMiho, for GuMiho, and I think that's what he's aiming for. Interestingly enough, by the way, we have Baneling speed and Zergling speed researching at the same time. You don't see that every day. Oh, Gumi wants to go for a push now? Really? Do we go for an attack? No, I think he's just setting up shop. Yeah, he knows that Zerg is likely going to go for an attack. He wants to be in position. Viper production, by the way, has started up here for Rogue, who now is all the way up to Hive Tech. So, yeah, if he is given a few more minutes, his army is going to be way better. Getting a lot of very expensive upgrades here for the Zerg right now. I think GuMiho is mostly just trying to scare his opponent a little bit with that on siege. So he's maxed out right now, 2-2 on the horizon. Additional command centers added into the mix. We're playing a big game. Problem is, when you don't have a bunch of bio units out on the map, when you're not dropping with marines and all the rest of it, the creep spread gets very, very quickly out of control. Rogue is getting us around with the creep at this point. So that is going to slow down this bulldozer style of attack for Gumi. But I mean, it's still moving forward. And look at the spread on the siege tanks. Keep in mind, You cannot abduct siege top tanks anymore. You can only blinding cloud them. It's one of the weird nerfs that was made in the most recent patch. Siege tanks will still take a lot of damage, though. But I don't know if there's really enough Zerg to break through this. I don't think so. Nope. You know what? That may actually be the biggest buff to Terran mech. Just not allowing the Vipers to abduct siege tanks. I still kind of hate that choice, to be honest. I think it's a weird change. Not sure exactly why it was made, but... Either way, GuMiho is gonna replace some of the lost siege tanks and other mechanical units now with Thors. Adding a whole load of them in the mix. Starting up a big spread here as well on the tanks, right? Just keeping them pinned back, leapfrogging only the ones in the back forward. Here we go, though. New energy available again on the Vipers. They will throw down some blinding clouds. Lots of tanks are disabled now, and I think this is enough for Zerg to break through this. It's been expensive, though. GuMiho not actually starting up 3-3. Interesting one. And there's the Thors. Okay. The good old Thor. I'm here, click me. Get me back into the fight. Okay, my Thor impression's not very good. I gotta work on that. But they are cool. Additional orbital commands added into the mix. GuMiho, in the meantime, secured the 5th. Keep in mind that this is a Zerg on 5 bases too, but... I mean, this is not really an economy that Rogue can be all too happy about. 3-3 starts up right now. Of course, the Terran units here all basically benefit from the same set of upgrades. Zerg not prioritizing carapace at all. Meaning that those siege tank shells are going to hurt. Banelings also rarely trade efficiently, right? You have to be careful. As far as efficient armies go, I think the best thing that Rogue can probably do is honestly swarm hosts. As weird as that is to say, you could also go like infestors with like, again, brute lords. That can kind of work. But you need something at some point that's going to be more sustainable. These linger-on buys, though, can do a lot of damage. Terran is going to be distracted a bit by this in the middle of the map, but I mean, that was a lot of links for only 6 SCVs, and I don't think GuMiho is going to replace those anymore. I think it will gladly lose a bunch of SCVs right now, because it opens up more army supply. GuMiho, by the way, also not really intending on moving forward here. It's an interesting stalemate. He's inviting Rogue to come and fight him. Obviously, those tanks are going to be really nice to get, but I don't think Rogue is going to take that invitation. Okay, here we go. More and more units will try to break through, and that blinding cloud is massive. So many of those units actually do get covered by it. Siege tanks decide to leapfrog backwards. Siege tanks are indeed going to be shelling away at those roaches now, and I think this is still fine. GuMiho manually retargeting there with the tanks too. Gets rid of a lot of the units, and yeah, if we pay attention here to the resources lost, obviously there's more income for the Zerg, but I don't think this is that bad here for Terran at all. Blue Flame. Yep. Blue Flame Helvets. They will get rid of those links. Nice and quickly. And 7 drones as well. I think it's difficult, though, for Rogue here to start up a real transition towards something a little bit more beefy, right? So if you want to go Brute Lords, but you know your opponent already has like 5 Thors out, is that really a smart choice? More and more command centers added into the mix. We're going up to... So we have 8 at the moment. We're building up 3 more. We're going up to 11 already. 3-3 now is done. Rogue has made the transition, though, to pretty much pure Hydra with some of the leftover units from earlier. And he's gonna try and see if he can use this very flimsy Zerg unit to close the distance, and he might just be right. Fully upgraded right now as well are those units, minus the carapace. Rogue does break out of this spot. Honestly, impressively so. It helps, I guess, that not a lot of the Terran units were actually present for it. If those Terran units were all in the middle of the map, I don't know if you would have been able to achieve the same task. Roach is now coming on the back at this. Rogue may be thinking about continuing the push, but I don't know if it's really going to happen. Thor does not get hit there by the corrosive bile, and honestly, GuMiho's economy here is phenomenal. His production is really strong. And across the board, I think his performance in this game is miles ahead of what he was doing in the previous one. We're going into the +1 flyer upgrade. Always nice to get the air weapons going. Rogue is not quite broke, but on 85 workers, right? You kind of expect... Oh, we're going swarm host. Okay. I was gonna say, if you have 85 drones, you kind of expect, if you look down at the bottom of the screen, to see more supply and maybe more of a bank, but not really something that Rogue has had the time to build up. We have a swarm host transition coming up. Now, swarm hosts are good, but of course there's a lot of downtime, right? So you basically can fire the locust. 2 locusts will spawn per swarm host, and a locust damage per second is really good. They're on like a timed life and all the rest of it. But while the locusts are on cooldown, the swarm host is incredibly vulnerable. And since they are so supply heavy, you end up with very little else. So this right here is 200 supply worth of Zerg. I mean, obviously there's all the drones and all the rest of it, but this is the entire army. He's at 193 supply in total. There's not going to be much more than this. It's all about trying to make your army appear bigger than it actually is. If Terran can give you a straight up fight, kill the locust, and go straight on the counter attack, I mean, you're in a world of trouble. But what about this? I love the sensor tower over here. Sensor tower actually showing that this is indeed going to be the switch. And that'll be a few siege tanks gone. No, just one. I think it was just one. I love the medevacs here. Usually the first wave of those locusts is when things get really sketchy for Terran, but GuMiho, I think, dealt with that about as good as he could have. Nidus Worm on the right side. Smart servos right now actually coming up. Getting the good old upgrade as well for the Cyclone. So we're going Ravager, Ling Bane with Swarmhost for support. I mean, if you can like send a locust wave from the right and then have the rest of the Zerg army from the front, I think it is possible, and that's exactly what we're trying to go ahead and do. No more Vipers available, though, so those Locusts have their work cut out for them. Siege tanks are left behind. Terran army is on the run. Oh, this is a perfect engagement, though, for Rogue. I don't think you could really hope for much more than this. So many tanks unsieged. He's a little bit worried. Yeah, siege top tanks are good, but unsieged tanks are not bad. Did you know that the single target damage per second of the siege tank is bigger than the sieged up one? So if you're fighting a single target, the DPS of the tank is better unsieged than sieged. And obviously they're also more mobile. So against roaches like that, it's easy to underestimate the strength of tanks. Now, the swarm hosts are being transported around the map. Terran mech is, of course, very slow. Nidus transport feels like it's pretty much instant. And yeah, we have a fight over here on the right side. Not ideal for Terran. What about the Locust wave right over here? Oh, we're gonna just right-click the planetary itself. The planetary dice and the SCVs as they try to desperately transfer the workers up north. They tried to bring the minerals home to another CC. 18 of them die as well. Absolute disaster right here for GuMiho over the last minute or two. The first wave of Locusts was dealt really, was dealt with very well, but I have not really liked the follow-up all too much. Rogue, in the meantime, now is building up a bit more of a bank. Last time I checked the bottom of the screen, he wasn't able to max out and he had no money. Now the Locust wave is going to go after the next planetary. Planetaries cannot fly. Command centers and orbital commands can, but planetaries, I guess they're too heavy. They are not so lucky. In the meantime, corrosive balls and roaches and ravagers are controlling this space well. I think when the siege tanks are sieged up, Rogue needs to micro backwards. GuMiho, yeah, he agrees here. He decides to pull the boys, give up on the hatch. I think that is the right play. Orbital command right now set up over here on that planetary location. 13 drones did get roasted. But GuMiho's income is, no longer any good. It's massively problematic. Very strange income graph. One of the weirdest ones I've seen in a while. Still, this is a man with 7 orbital commands and about 70 siege tanks, give or take. It's a lot. The only problem now is that siege tanks are not that great. Here's another locust wave. Yeah. Oh, corrosive biles. I mean, corrosive biles are actually kind of insane. Yeah, no more roaches available. It's pure Ravager. So this army right now is Ravager Swarm Host. It's a weird combo, but it kind of makes sense. What is this? A double siege tank drop. When's the last time we've seen that? Well, mission accomplished. I love it. I don't think I've seen that since the tank effect days. Remember when the siege tanks could be picked up while sieged up? What are we doing, dude? They're not Archons. Ay, ay, ay. Well, if you... It's actually something that you don't normally see very much, but if you don't have the little missile of the Ravagers and the Roaches connect with the siege tank, they don't take damage. That was GuMiho kind of trying to... Oh, well, now the hero tanks got left behind. I'm sorry, lads. GuMiho trying to flex a little bit with his micro, but ultimately I think he is bleeding out. His army is still good, and if you look at like the total amount of command centers, it's not that bad, but I think Rogue can effectively reinforce this over and over and over again. These fights on creep are just gonna get so much worse for Terran, but GuMiho doesn't really have a choice. He needs to go. Those locusts are gonna be available yet again before too long. Feels like a very long cooldown, though, at this spot if you are the Zerg. Okay. Well, GuMiho's trying to make this work. Here's the Locust Wave yet again. This Locust Wave is do or die for Rogue, though. He just lost another hatch. 16 drones have gone down with it as well. Here's the Locust landing. Is this what Rogue has been waiting for? Corrosive Biles left, right, and center. So many siege tanks end up falling. So many red HP units, but GuMiho actually lives. Hold up right now. Zerg's economy is terrible. He's got very little mining. He did make a new hatchery over on the left side. Is this still a winnable spot right here for the Terran? He's deep onto creep with a lot of low HP Terran units, trying his absolute best to stay alive. This is apparently where all the mules have been mining, but we do have, like I said, 7 orbital commands. So he does indeed have a lot of income from the mules alone. Has to go back to just Cyclones and Hellions. Decides to drive these units back home, apparently. Risky choice, though. Rogue getting that advantage from the speed. Obviously, a lot of vision, too. These units, though, get surrounded. Cyclones suddenly appear out of nowhere. Hatchery in the far bottom right is going to go down yet again. Just like the siege tanks earlier. I would love for these units to go home and get a little bit of a repair job, because this is, like, the majority of the Terran army. You can't really afford losing it. Another Locust Wave. This one, ooh, does not seem to achieve that much. More and more mules are dying. The rest of the Terran army has been cycled all the way to the other side of the map. Yeah. And obviously Cyclones... Ooh, Orbital actually dies. Cyclones are very flimsy. But they are more mobile than the rest of these units, especially with their lock-on ability. I think GuMiho has just done it. I think GuMiho has just done it. Kind of felt to me like he was dead. He did not have a good answer against the Swarm Hosts, but ultimately it did not matter. He gets the job done, and that means we are going to game number 3. Okay, and that means that this series comes down to Winter Madness. Let me flip the scoreboard. There we go. Very important to have the player that spawned at the top of the map also appear at the top of the scoreboard and the production tab. Is that what I think it is? It's a second barracks. Huh? A second barracks? Is that even allowed? Quick command center here as well on the back it is, but it's certainly a different build here from the Gumi-God. It's a different build mostly because we're already going double gas here. So we're not going to be able to easily afford a third command center. Likewise here for Rogue. So Rogue opening up gasless in the previous game has now decided to delay the third hatchery in favor of a really fast gas. Why play a normal game when you can choose not to play a normal game? I kind of like it. Both players trying to outsmart each other. We have a small little hit squad of Marines out on the map. Hellion just popped out. Did the Lynx see? No, the Hellions did not quite allow that. So the Zerglings did not see the second Rex. Is he going to see now? Nope. Doesn't have quite enough vision. Not quite enough range. The Zergling can look behind itself, apparently, but it can't see ahead of it. How's that? It can't possibly be, right? Like, Zerglings are predators, so they have their eyes at the front of their bodies. So they should see. I mean, at the bare minimum in, like, a narrow cone. They should be able to see, like... Oh, well. Yeah, it's Stimpek. I really like, though, that GuMiho is putting this much effort into hiding Stimpek. There's something pretty ironic about that. I'm gonna hide the most common transition in the world. Haha! They will never see it coming. They will never expect me going for the most normal thing. Brilliant stuff, really. Okay, let's see. What do we do? It's a weird follow-up, though. All of this is a bit funky. A Rogue opting to go for a very delayed third hatchery, a very quick lair. And because of that, he's already adding on a Spire. Baneling Nest right now on the back of this too. It's a 4 Marine drop. What are 4 Marines gonna do? We did this as well in the first game on Mothership, and it did not work out at all. I think GuMiho now saw, though, the timing of the third hatchery and decides to play this safe. Or at least he doesn't feel like he can keep this medevac out there by itself for too much longer. Sniping a couple overlords would be nice, but losing it for free is tough. So, options right now here for Terran. Either it's a Spire, or it's some sort of like roach push. Maybe like some sort of Nidus cheese. Technically also an option. But it's something aggressive here from the Zerg, I think, every single time. Otherwise, the timing of the third doesn't really make a lot of sense. Stimpek on the horizon, by the way. 5 minutes and 20 seconds in. 11 Marines? This is weird. Yeah, we end up with 11 Marines at the normal timing for like a 16 Marine drop. But I guess what we have here is a third command center that's been delayed and a bunch of Hellions. But the Hellions, okay, this is why. The Hellions are now going to be used. This is effectively what we're trying to do, right? Yeah, it's a two-pronged push. Did the medevac just die? No, the medevac did not die. No, one of them did die. I was going to say, there was a second one. How did all those units get into the main? A lot of damage is being dealt. And you know what? As strange as all of this is... Sorry, Jimmy. There was no room for you in the plane. As strange as all of this is, 12 drone kills is 12 drone kills. Does kind of feel like a weird strat because you need to get lucky and hope the Zerg doesn't see your Hellion drive by. I mean, they're likely going to be distracted, but... Yeah, not too bad, actually, here for Gumi in the end. Mutas are out. And they will try to make it impossible for this Terran squad to go home. Revenge at last for the drones. GuMiho is probably going to have to fall back, though. I don't think that this orbital command here is going to finish. Nah, no way. Ooh. Little Cyclone, by the way, against Zerg. It's also kind of funny. Usually we don't see Cyclones. Really? Are we going to commit here? I don't know if I like that too much, Rogue. Rogue was hoping that the Zergling numbers were good enough. He was close. But that was a little overly ambitious. Okay. So, as the dust settles, we end up with Zerg like 20 workers behind. And you can hardly... Oh, no, Gumi, stop! Gumi's killing his own command center. Oh, he noticed. It's very bad for my blood pressure. I think he was busy trying to micro the units here. Dude, if you're 20 workers ahead, but you lose the game because you kill your own command center, that is... That's not good. Don't, believe it or not, don't kill your own command centers. I'm no expert. Actually, I think I am in this instance. Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. Oh, no. Oh, no. GuMiho may actually be falling apart. It takes only a moment of like, just not paying attention, right? For things to come crumbling down in a game of StarCraft. Rogue did not anticipate he was going to be able to get this much value off of a little push. Rogue, by the way, is all in. Like, Rogue has not added on any drones. Did he just actually get the job done? Dude, this is the most rogue-esque way of getting the job done as well. Rogue's like, okay, I'm behind an economy. Time to make mutas and zerglings and mutas and zerglings and nothing else. Most of the time we see the mutas going in and then massive droning on the back of this. The Great Wall here of Terran has been broken open. And now the orbital command that GuMiho tried to kill himself may take critical damage from the Zerg instead. We have a mule being landed to try and repair it, but that's awfully ambitious. I think it got one little repair cycle in. Good job, little man. You tried. When you try your best, but you don't succeed. It's very sad. And I think that across the board, Rogue is just beginning to overwhelm this. Maybe the natural can be saved. There's so many medevacs. That's kind of yeah, I guess every Marine now has its own private jet. Kind of awesome, I suppose, but it is making the whole game a little tricky. Drilling claws now. What little money GuMiho has is being spent on drilling claws. I kind of love that. This Cyclone, by the way, has been extremely good, but it is going to die here in the end. Now the Zerglings are on top of it. The medevacs are still helping out. We go back to droning. Wait, now we play the macro game? Weird spot to be in. Because yes, Rogue has far less workers, and he's had far less workers for a long time. But GuMiho is oversaturated on 2 bases. Like, he's got 31 SCVs over here in the natural, right? So, like, the worker count doesn't really matter that much. One thing, though, that GuMiho has had for a long time here in this game are these... Where are they? The engineering bay upgrades. Keeping those Marines alive, absolutely critical. Apparently, though, we are going to add on Banelings here eventually. They're, of course, always a good choice against Marines. And you know what? GuMiho has a good counterattack in him. GuMiho making more medevacs here. Always nice. Widowmine gets sniped. Baneling speed is only about 80% of the way done. But I think the... Ooh, oh, yeah, I think the muta numbers are just so big. Well, the 1-1 is big, though, right? Like, you can tell that 1-1 is done. It's a shame that the first couple Banelings there got so much damage in. Reinforcing group of Marines does show up here eventually. We have a lot more units coming out. Honestly, I think we pulled the boys. We have so many SCVs here doing nothing. They're just waiting for their turn to mine the mineral field. I honestly think you could pull some of the boys, maybe all of the boys. I know we normally do this in Terran versus Protoss, but if the SCVs can eat some of the Baneling hits, then the Marines can clear everything else. Well, Rogue wants to attack before it's too late. Fighting half of the army on creep, the other half off creep. There's only mutas now remaining up in the air. There's 12 of them, 26 Marines in total. Queen's desperately trying to help out too. The private jets are still out in the air. Here's the reinforcing Marines once more. And this is turning into a ridiculously scrappy game. Do we not pull the boys? Oh, maybe we do. No, I think we're just transferring. He's now a nomadic species, okay? This is how the Terrans were designed. For the nomadic lifestyle. He'll go down to the 3rd base and mine for a little ways longer. Problem is, the fight here at the front. I mean, because of the 1-1 upgrades, it is honestly going pretty darn well here for Gumi. But I feel like across the board, Zerg just has such a scary army. I mean, this is Marines. Up against Speedbanes, and GuMiho now agrees as well with those crashing into his army. Very entertaining series. Yeah. That first game had me a little bit worried. Because GuMiho had basically the perfect setup, but then he just didn't execute particularly well. And Rogue just kind of destroyed him. Game number 2, of course, we had that very scrappy endgame with Swarmos against Terran MECH. Absolute banger. I thought for a moment there that Rogue was, well, gonna, lose that one. Or win that one, rather, when the Swarmos wave there clashed in at the very end. But this final game as well could have really gone either way. I think the micro against the Banes was kind of suboptimal. And maybe that's why GuMiho decided to play Terran MECH in game number 1 and game number 2. Either way, the series does end with a Rogue victory, but he certainly had to fight for it.